What is up, everybody? Filling in for JBC. I am Statsational here, of course, with my boy Snyder and Schlong. Bryce, how are you? How's it going, boys? We got a little TPC DEERE action going on this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have you filling in. JBC's having the time of his life, as we were kind of discussing before this down in Gulf Shores. So it's good to have the better half on the show. Always nice to do a show with you, John. We don't normally have many, so it's kind of a treat.
Yeah, excited to do a show here with John. We played some golf. What was that, about a year and a half ago or so, down in Kentucky?
you played some golf. I don't know what it was I was doing, but you played some golf. Yeah. That was it started to get a little bit. I had to use your club, so that's my excuse. But yeah, it was getting a little better on the back nine. Yeah,
for sure. I was actually hoping for a -7 cut last week. I had like 4 teams in the top 100 with the 7 cut, and then it went to 6. And I think it helped you guys maybe, but it definitely didn't help me throughout the weekend. Ended up just barely making a little bit, I think, last week.
Yeah, I mean, these birdie fests are always kind of rough, depending on the cut line, just because it's so dependent on 6 out of 6 to like even like min cash stuff. Like you're just gaining so many points around.
Yeah, I mean, and we are looking at an event this week where the scores should be real low, right? What do we have, a -28 winner last year?
Yeah.
Absolute birdie fest here. Only real defense that you could see on the course is probably wind, which is supposed to pick up this week, especially on the weekend. I know some people around the industry have been talking about the wind advantage, and we did see one last week that Snyder highlighted here on the show. So that was nice, but I don't really see one this week. I know people are talking about like Friday AM, Thursday PM kind of being the preferred wave here. I don't really see that materializing here, so I'm probably going to play it down the middle. And if people do wave stack, then just kind of root for the other wave.
I don't see too much this week either. Like last week, I thought there was a pretty predominant advantage, but this week, the wind gusts look pretty much the same all day Friday. It's just going to be, 12 to 14 miles an hour sustained all day Friday. So I don't see much of an advantage in that.
They're saying possible showers for tomorrow afternoon, maybe.
I saw tomorrow afternoon, potentially early Friday morning. I don't think it'll be enough to like derail the tournament, but it could be enough to like mess up a potential wind advantage if there does happen to be one. I think the one last week was 1.5 strokes, so it was pretty. It was pretty important last week. Like, I mean, stroke and a half's like a lot in golf.
That also included Keith Mitchell shooting 8 over in the best wave, and then Morikawa shooting 8 under in the worst wave. So it could have been a lot worse if you take those 2 scores out, or a lot better, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about wind, not to ramble on here too much about stuff that really doesn't pertain to this week. Like, I typically like to play like the best golfers regardless, and then like let the cheap guys come from like the good wind waves, because like Morikawa or whoever the good golfers are that week, or like the high end guys, like they can play in pretty much anything. Especially when they're going up against fields that are nowhere near the caliber of player they are.
Yeah, no, I am down with that as well. But this week, fortunately, I don't think we're going to have to deal with it, right? So, like I said, we may get a little bit of wet weather. It's only going to make it probably even easier for some of the guys out there during that wave. They're talking about maybe, like you said, Thursday PM, maybe a little bit on Friday morning, but I don't think it's going to be anything of significance. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think playing this one straight up is the way to go. So let's kind of dive in. It's not the strongest of fields, that's for sure. And when you look at the betting markets, I mean, you've got Griffin as the favorite, right, in the betting markets, but not what we've been used to. I mean, every week that we have a Scotty Scheffler in there, it's like a +250, +300 favorite, and then everybody else. Kind of a little bit more spread out this week as far as the betting markets go. And Griffin, who is the favorite, is not the highest priced golfer out there that week. This week is going to be Jason Day. So I'll go first to you, Snyder. What do we like here? Let's start with the 3 guys who are 10K and above. We got Poston, Griffin, and Day.
Yeah, for me up top, I don't think I'm going to get the Day at all this week. the price is up there. He's odds wise, he's much worse than some others, much cheaper than him. So I'll probably be a little under or completely off Jason Day this week. He generally doesn't pay off his price tag historically when we've seen him priced at this compared to the rest of the field. So I'm fine just getting off of him. I like the guys below him a lot better. Ben Griffin, he's as low as like 13-1. I've seen at the Circa for a while. Pretty sharp book there. So I think Ben Griffin is once again the best play in this top tier range. I'll be loading up on him in head-to-heads, cash games for sure. And then I'll be overweight in tournaments as well. I think his ownership will probably come in somewhere around like 27 to 32%, so around there, I think. So nothing too crazy. Pretty still easy to get overweight on him. So Ben Griffin's definitely the one for me there. And Poston, I like some of the guys in the 9K range a little better than him as well, but I think he's got good upside for this track. As we've seen, he's won this event, 2-3 years ago, 2022, he won this event, was T6 in 23, but the form just isn't as good right now. I think he's still fine to have in tournaments and such, though, and if you're maxing and such.
Bryce, let's go to you, Matt. Do you agree with that? What do you like here? Are you going to be fading Jason Day as well? What do you like 10K and above?
I mean, this week's kind of tough. I think it's just play Ben Griffin and kind of hope for the best here. I have him. I'm not even like going like super heavy on him. I think I'm about 25%. So, if he does come in super high, which I'm kind of expecting, might be a slight sell actually. Jason Day, don't love him here. He's kind of like a 10% play type of guy for me. Like pretty much his like top 3 odds. Like I prefer him on tougher tracks than like kind of birdie fests. Like he's kind of the guy that will grind out a decent score on a tough course in like a hard field that you're playing for cheap. Not really like a guy that you're expecting to go 30 under here. JT Poston, Denny McCarthy, kind of the same bucket for me. I do prefer Denny to JT. Both can rack up a lot of birdies and are very strong putters. There's not tons to separate the top range. I think like it's a clear like Griffin number 1, then kind of everyone else number 2 type of deal. I would rank them Ben, Danny, JT, Jason.
So you have Griffin as a clear number 1, but there's at 25%. I think you're going to be underneath the market here.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather play more balance builds here and try and get like higher 6 out of 6 equity. And obviously you need the winner in your lineup to win tournaments. But as you said, there's no Scotty Scheffler. Like, I mean, Ben Griffin 15-1. I'm fine being slightly underweight on that.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the betting mark, I mean, it's like, all right, so you got Griffin. I'm looking at DraftKings right now, right? So you've got Griffin at 1,600, then Day 2,500. So you basically, I mean, from plus 2,500 to plus 4,500. I mean, it's got to be at least 20 golfers, in that range. So, and then when we transfer that over to the DFS world, I could see where I think balanced lineups this week may be the choice, or at least what looks like the way to go here for me, because when we're hearing from you guys, for the most part, I think you guys are going to be under on a lot of these 10K plus guys at the top.
Yeah, for sure. Like you were saying there, I was just looking like at Pinnacle. There's 20, 25 guys that are in that 20 to 41 bucket there. It's pretty crazy compared to what we're used to seeing. There's usually more set in stone there at the top. But yeah, I think any of these guys could win this event, especially like an event like this. Like we saw the Big Rig win last week. I mean, we're going to see another group of guys in that caliber, I think, towards the top of the leaderboard.
Well, let's dip to under the 10K. I know Bryce kind of alluded to McCarthy here, maybe the best putter on the tour, let alone in this event. Let's dip down. What do you like here, Schneider? 9K up to McCarthy over at 9.9.
Yeah, I think Denny's one of the best plays on the board here. Looking at his course history, T6, T6, T7 the last 3 trips here, coming off the T12 last week. The best putter on tour, like you were saying, in a birdie fest like this. Just sets up so well for his game. He's going to hit a ton of fairways, going to keep it in play and make a lot of putts. It's going to set up for a good finish for him, I think, again. I think we see him inside the top 15 for sure again this week. The guy I like a little more than him is my guy, Michael Thorbjornsen down there. Big Thor at 9,100. He's actually got the second best odds of anyone on Pinnacle right now, just above, slightly better than Denny, and he's quite a bit cheaper there too. So Thor is going to be my favorite play at 9.1 coming off the T5 last week. And he finished runner-up at this event last year. And then he was T17 the year before that too. And I just feel like his game is just getting more complete as we get going. I think last year he was my flag plant guy off the Korn Ferry Tour, and he's really played well coming off of that. So heavy on Thor. Like Davis Thompson's a guy you got to look out for here. He won this event last year at 28 under, has the high birdie upside. Just needs to get that putter going. I mean, the putter has just been holding him back for a while. He's losing over a half a stroke putting per round over the last 36 rounds, so that's definitely not going to get it done here. He can flip it, though. The irons have been really good for him. Jake Knapp's another guy, was super high birdie upside. T4 last week, was third a few events back in that team event, has the big upside we've seen. You know, the courses like Mexico and such where he's had success at birdie fests like this. So I think Jake Knapp is a guy, and Chris Goddard is another guy I'll be looking at. He's been really good, right inside that top 30 for the majority of the last couple of months. It just comes down to the putter with him too. If he can make some putts, he's definitely going to be there. I mean, the ball striking has been great for him. It just comes down to the putter with Goddard up like a couple of these guys. You're going to have to make putts here at this event this week.
Yeah, I agree. Thor is. I agree with you there. He's one of my bets for this week. It's actually the shortest price that I took on any of my to win bets, and he's been getting kind of steamed. Now I'm seeing I got it at plus 3,000, and that's not. I don't even know if we could get plus 3,000 anywhere now. Yeah, so he's been catching steam. I think the best prices are on DraftKings plus 2,800, plus 2,800 also at FanDuel. So yeah, the betting market certainly likes Thor, and we'll see how that translates into ownership on the DFS slate. Bryce, turn it over to you, buddy. What do you like here? 9K range.
Thorbjornsen's my highest owned golfer here. Don't really think it's that close. There's a couple other guys that we'll highlight here. Likely to have 30% of him or so. He comes in higher than Ben Griffin for me, and it's just kind of a price thing. Like, if you start your team with, say, him or one of the other guys in this range, you're just getting a very high-quality team all throughout. Don't love punting in general this week, so it kind of leads me – Mateo doesn't like punting either. Kind of leads me to the 9K range here a bit over prioritizing like high-priced guys. Other than him, I like Denny. Obviously, I had talked about him. I think Jake Knapp is very strong. I think Davis Thompson is very strong at 9,600 here. He comes in about 30-1, which is kind of what I'm looking for on this range. I don't think there's a lot of like bad plays here. I would just, in general, rather take the salary discount than going all the way up. So it's probably a range that I'm over on in a lot of spots. Like Siwoo can make a lot of birdies. Goddard obviously has some upside here. Sung Jae, I mean, last year he would have been the best golfer in this field. Like, he would be the highest priced guy here. This year hasn't really been the case, but I'm willing to bet, a little bit on some Sung Jae regression here at a birdie fest. And then Glover, I never really have tons of faith in the putter, but he's a very good ball striker here for 9K. And, do you think any of these guys get squeezed? Like, I kind of see like pretty pretty decent ownership around the board on them. Like all pretty much like 10 to 15% here. It's just kind of hammer Thorpe and then hope for the best with the rest of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of seeing. The one guy I did kind of skip over is a guy that I've just been kind of watching. Like I was watching Burns there for a while with the iron play. Sung J M has just been absolutely atrocious with the iron play for the last, actually since like February or March. He's just been absolutely horrible, losing at least 3 strokes, it seems like, every event with the irons. But he's kind of catching some steam in the markets. The putter can catch some heat here at times. Just a guy I've been kind of keeping an eye on. I don't really have much conviction on him this week, but he is getting some love in the betting market. So,
there's some specific stats that you're looking at this week for this type of a course? I know, from what I looked at in researching the course a little bit, the accuracy off the tee, believe it or not, wound up being stronger than maybe some of the other stats. So typically, driving distance and putting, looking at some of the main stats, they were all pretty much on par with the typical PGA event. But for some reason, accuracy off the tee this week was registering as a little bit more important than it is in your normal on your normal PGA Tour event. And I find that a little unusual for a place where it's so easy to make birdies. Typically, those courses, you can kind of spray them around a little bit. But from what I understand, you do want to kind of be accurate off the tee here, so you get the right angles, so that you can get into these greens and make some birdies. Are you seeing that as well? Are you looking for guys who are kind of accurate, good ball strikers, or is there another stat in particular that you're looking at this week?
I was kind of seeing that too with the driving accuracy. It was kind of, over the last historically at this event, you have seen the more accurate players off the tee finish better here as well too. So it is kind of interesting there with the rough here is kind of tough. It's going to be a mix between bluegrass and fescue at around 4 inches, which isn't terrible, but it's up there a little bit. So I can see why hitting the fairway is much more beneficial here, trying to avoid that 4-inch rough. But the greens here are right around 5,500 square feet. They're about average on tour, and only 3 holes with water in play, so not too much trouble off the tee either. So, yeah, that was one thing that kind of caught my eye. I'm hearing some people saying it's going to be a bomb and gouge place again, but historically it's been more accuracy off the tee than bombers here.
Yeah, you look at some of the guys who have won. Obviously, Zach Johnson, and of course, he's very familiar with the golf course, but not some of the longer hitters have won here. So I don't know if necessarily the bombers have an advantage here. I think keeping it in play gives some of these more accurate drivers of the golf ball opportunities at birdies, and obviously you're always going to have to putt well. All right, let's take a look now. We talked about these guys over 9K. We got the 8K range. You've got golfers like we've got Kirk down there, Kevin Yu, Clanton, Cauley, Gerard, Cootie, Sam Stevens. A lot of guys who aren't typically over 8K in a lot of these normal events. So Michael Kim, maybe the best follow on the PGA Tour on X right now. And then another Thor, Olesen, down at 8,100. Ricky rounding it out at the 8K. It looks like another range to me where kind of similar to that 9K range, what Bryce was talking about. I think it's going to be really kind of spread out, with perhaps Ricky being the lowest owned of all of those guys in that range. How are you seeing it, Snyder?
Yeah, for sure. I don't like as many guys in this range because I'm going to try and just jam some of those 9K guys to get more even up there. But you look at, Chris Kirk and Kevin Yu right there at 8-9 and 8-8. Kevin Yu is actually minus 120 favorite over Kirk in the matchup markets. And Yu's actually getting steamed up over on Circa. I think he's got the 5th best to win odds over there now, 30 to 1 over there now. So he's kind of getting some love over there in the betting markets. He's shown that big upside too. He was 3rd in Canada and 4th at Myrtle Beach on a couple easier TPC type tracks like this. So I think he's definitely a good play there. And Kirk, I was on Kirky last week. Paid off solid for us. The irons continue to be really strong for him there. Gained over 5 strokes last week. The putter's kind of starting to turn a little bit for him as well. And he's got good course history here. So high on Kirk and Kevin Yu. We got Ryan Gerard right there. I mean, the ball striking last week, he was great. Gained over 7 strokes ball striking. A putter just continues to kill him, though. I mean, he lost over 4 strokes putting last week, lost 8 strokes putting the week before. It's 8 straight weeks of him losing strokes putting. But he at least gained at least 3 strokes. He's gained at least 3 strokes tee to green in each of those events. So if he can just get that putter to flip, he's a guy that could definitely shoot up the leaderboard. If he can just, putt to a 0 even here, I think he would do really well with how he's hitting the ball striking wise. And another guy, Pearson Kude, he's been crushing the Corn Ferry Tour leaderboards the last 4 or 5 events over there. And he's fared well in the 2 PGA Tour events he's played recently. He was T16 and T25 in those. He's basically even money against Goddard too in the matchup markets, which really kind of caught my eye. So I'm getting pretty high on Pearson Kude here this week at 8,400. I think he's a strong play with good upside in an event like this. He can make a ton of birdies like you're going to need. And the rest of this is just kind of the sprinkles. I mean, I love the talent upside of Luke Clanton. He was second here. I played a lot of Bud Cauley, more towards the middle, early parts of the year when he was kind of on that run. It's kind of cooled off a little bit since, but he did finish T25 last week. I think he's fine. Sam Stevens has some upside. Michael Kim, him in that 3-putt on 18. He's fine though. I mean, Michael Kim actually does have a horrible course history though. He's missed his last 4 cuts at this event. So take that with a grain of salt. The rest of these guys are upside guys you want to sprinkle in, but my favorite guys in this range is going to be Kude, Kevin Yu, and Chris Kirky.
Bryce, we'll pass it over to you. Anything in this range? We got it, like I said, it looks kind of similar to that 9K range as far as how ownership is going to play out. We might have a couple of guys here, just not maybe not as owned as the rest, but I think it's all, that 10 to 15% again, where most of the field is going to be playing anywhere from sub 10K to the 7K ranges, and not a lot of golfers maybe sub 7K. Everything's going to be in the middle. So I'm going to assume you're going to like this range here from 8K up to 9. What do you like here?
Yeah, I mean, naturally not loving the top end golfers this week. Like it gets you more on like the low 9s, the high 8s, and pretty much everything below that. I would love to pick out some bad plays here. It's just kind of hard to find a lot of bad plays at a course like this. Like you can make a case for pretty much any golfer that has a pulse, and you can tailor pick, or you can kind of cherry pick your stats and make them tailor made to kind of any skill set can kind of succeed here. I don't mean to say it's impossible to predict who's going to do well, but I think it's kind of harder to predict who's going to do poorly. So, I'm kind of going to be over on the guys that the field is lower on, and probably under on the guys that the field is higher on, and just hope that golf kind of works itself out there. That being said, I do like the high end of this 8K range more than the low end. I'd rank it Yu, Kirk as kind of my top 2 plays in this range, and I think Kevin Yu's a very strong play. Him and Kirk have both steamed a good amount on sharp books, as Snyder mentioned here. So, yeah, I mean, Yu and Kirk both look super solid to me. I would be totally fine starting my team as low as them and just kind of playing, cheaper guys. They also pair very well with a 9K guy. You have pretty much anyone in the 7K range you want, another 8K type of golfer. So Yu and Kirk kind of make the most sense to me here. Clanton, Cauley, Gerard is, 3 very solid golfers for this field. I would probably prefer Bud Cauley here. Gerard's putting worries me a bit, just with his ability to go super low. He is a great ball striker. I'm just seeing a little bit of inflated ownership on him. Probably take ownership discount and go Cauley or Clanton over him. Cootie, Stevens, Kim, Olsen, Fowler. I definitely think Ricky comes in the lowest of this group. He just kind of has crappy odds compared to the rest of the range. And yeah, I don't hate him. I would prefer getting up to someone like Bud Cauley, or even down. We'll talk about the 7K range after this. But yeah, don't love him or this Olsen. Michael Kim is all right. Great Twitter follow. Not as an elite of a play this week. Stevens and Cootie, I just think they can go a little bit lower than him. I'm not willing to discount or count anyone out here. So, not trying to have a cop-out answer, but I'll probably be 10% on Fowler and Olsen and 15% on guys like Kim and Stevens. It's not a massive difference here. Just kind of going to end up buying whoever the field is selling.
I was just going to ask you that. Who's, if Ricky's going to be the lowest owned in this range, how much would you have? So at 10%, I think you're probably going to wind up being over. So, what I'm kind of hearing from you is there's a lot of these guys who have the ability to go low, and what you're looking to do is maybe not necessarily get too high on any one golfer and then hope that some of these guys who the rest of the market is kind of down on does well, because you're gonna probably be above the market on some of these guys that you're in this range that are going to come in low.
Exactly. I mean, I don't think there's a huge excuse me. I don't think there's a massive talent gap anywhere. I'm just kind of leaning towards who guys aren't going to be played as much, and just kind of hoping that we can get over on them. There's not a huge stance, say I'm taking. In the 9K range, I really liked Olsen. In this range, there's not really a guy that I'm crazy high on. You would be my favorite if I had to choose one.
You were Snyder. You were talking about, was it Gerard? We were talking about with the putting situation now. Yeah. Now on a course like this, obviously you're going to have to putt well to shoot, minus 25 or whatever it's going to take here to win. But he's a guy now. He's been trending down in the putting, but earlier in the season he was much better. Is it the kind of guy that you don't mind taking a shot on because his ball striking is so elite that if he just has a good, an average putting weekend, he can contend for the championship?
Yeah, I think so. Last week he was T41, losing over 5 strokes with the short game, but he gained over 6 strokes with the approach last week. So the approach numbers have been good over the last couple of months. Even at the majors, he gained over 5 strokes approach at the PGA Championship and 2 strokes approach at the U.S. Open. It's just, if he can somehow get that putter to flip, earlier in the year, you were saying, he was gaining strokes putting. He gained 7 strokes putting at the Valero Texas Open. So that is in his bucket that he can channel some good putting performances. He gained 2 strokes at Houston, gained 4 strokes putting at the PGA at the Players Championship. So he's generally been a good putter. It's just he went through a stretch from January to March where he was putting the ball really well, and then it's just completely, ever since the CJ Cup at TBC Craig Ranch, the putter has just went absolutely in the wrong direction. He's completely lost out there, it seems, with the putter. Not sure, maybe he's trying some new things out. I'm not sure, but the range of outcome is there for him to kind of spike with the putter, at least putt to a 0, which I think if he could just go to a 0, he'd be inside the top 20 pretty easily, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Because when you look at all the stats here, shots gained pretty much everywhere outside of putting have been really, really good and trending in the right direction. So he hasn't let that mentally affect his game. I mean, that was the old Scotty Scheffler. I don't want to compare him to Scotty Scheffler, but when Scotty couldn't make a putt early on in his career, but it was just so good at the ball striking. Now he makes everything, and you see the results. Hideki was always that guy as well. But I think it's interesting for those guys. I think at a course like this, especially where maybe the putting won't be as difficult. I think someone asked before, do you know what they're going to be running? I think they run about a 12 historically here. I just don't know what they're going to.
Yeah, probably around 12, I think.
So, yeah, I mean, I think on a course where it may not necessarily be the trickiest of greens, perhaps a guy with really strong ball striking can come through, find his way to the top. I just like these guys in GPP type of plays because I think the upside on a guy like that is tremendous, because if he is putting, minus 30s in play, right? So I like those kind of guys. All right, let's dip it down to let's look at these guys from 70. We don't have to hit all of them, obviously, but give me some of the highlights of the guys, let's say 7,500 on up, that you guys are targeting, and maybe some of these guys that you're looking to fade. We'll start it off with you, Snyder.
Yeah, we got the previous winner from last week, the big rig, Potgator, up top here, 7.9. Pretty good price increase here for him. I was actually kind of surprised that he was going to play this. In his post-round interview, he talked about finally getting that monkey off his back. He's like, I'm going to take a couple weeks off and get ready for the UK tour, and now he's back in. I was expecting him to withdraw, but obviously feels good about his game. He's in the right spot, coming off the win. He's only 20, so I mean, it's not like he can go out to the clubs and stuff and like get too carried away. So I'm not worried about him being like over partying and such. So I think he's fine this week. The price is up there. The odds for him are decent up there. He's 33-1 at Pinnacle, so I think he's definitely right there in play. Again, just comes down to if he can make the putts again this week. Last week he was making the putts, especially in the playoffs there and such down the stretch. He felt a little bit of pressure there towards the start of that final round. He made a couple bogeys early, but then rallied late and was right there at the end. So I think he's fine. Battle tested now a little bit. Alex Smalley was the guy I played some last week. Missed the cut there. Was T13 at Canadian Open. He's got the upside, though. He was T30 at the PGA Championship and had the top 5 at Myrtle Beach, and he is a runner-up here in 23. So he's had a couple good finishes here. I think he's a good upside play. Nico, I always like his upside in the birdie fest here. He can get the putter going hot as well. Mark Hubbard is a guy I always like playing in these type of events. 7.7K for Hubbard. It paid off well for us last week. T13 last week has strong course history as well. And he's seen a 20-cent move in his direction in the betting markets versus Keith Mitchell in the matchup markets there. So that's pretty good for him. Andrew Putnam, as a guy I was high on last week, he was a soldier for me last week. Posted a second straight top 10 finish. Another guy who can just put the lights out in these type of conditions, these type of courses. So always going to be on some Putnam there. Christian Bezadenhood, he's kind of getting some money in the betting market. He's seen a 20-cent move his direction versus Lee Hodges in that matchup. Some of the other guys in this range, Kitayama has some upside. I haven't really been playing him that much, though. And that's about it. Jaeger's always got some upside. Has a couple of solid finishes here, T13 and a T30 at this event. Emiliano Grillo has some pretty good upside, always in play for tournaments. And then Jacob Bridgman at 7.5K. The putter's been heating up for him. He's hit the irons much better last week than he has been. Pretty good move in his direction, too, in the matchup against Taylor Moore in his direction. So I think our guy Jacob Bridgman's kind of back to maybe he's going to go on another run here like he did earlier in the year.
Yeah, he's been his game's really been the putter, right? For Bridgman, and he's fine, pretty close to the field here as far as accuracy. Not a big, huge driver of the ball, but as we said, don't necessarily need that here. Bryce, we'll turn it over to you in this range here, 7,500 and up. Who are we liking? Who are you targeting? Are we fading anyone?
I might have had like an even keel or like an even basis on the field for the AK range. I do have some takes here. I think Potgator's the best play at 7,900. He's just too cheap. I would be playing him at like 9K this week is probably what he should be priced at here compared to his odds. So always in on guys like that at this course. People are going to be worried about him coming off a win, all that BS. I love playing guys off a win just because the field hates doing it. So like him a lot, like Alex Smalley a lot. Nico Echeverria, I like. Mark Hubbard, I like a lot. Agree with a lot of what Snyder said about him. Putnam is kind of a priority play for me this week as well. I just think he has a ton of upside with the flat stick here. And, the rest of the range, I think is very solid. I think that you're getting a much higher quality golfer, say here, than you are in like even the low sevens or the high sixes. I think there's a pretty decent drop off in talent from this range to that, which is also one of the reasons why I like, not quite spending up to the very top end of the guys, like the Jason Days of the world say. I'm just gonna be hitting this range pretty hard as a whole here, and even guys that I didn't mention like Jaeger, Creo, Keith Mitchell, I think have a good amount of upside here, and you can lump Kitayama in with them as well.
Anyone that you're not playing here, or totally, a total fade for you in this range?
Not really. I'd probably say like Taylor Moore and Victor Perez are kind of like the two guys that like I really wouldn't click onto. I'm just kind of playing everyone here and then kind of cutting it off. I'm not really playing any punts in the 6K range much. So, when you're doing a strategy like that, I don't really like to eliminate paths to victory in the ranges that you don't have to, because I'm eliminating a lot down below.
Snyder, I'm gonna come back to you, Bryce, in this range, and maybe we'll go back and look at the entire slate. But kind of in this range, is there anyone that you're gonna really, you're gonna be leveraged on, where you feel like you'll be significantly above the field or below the field here in this range?
Probably would be like Mark Hubbard would probably be one of my highest owned guys. I think him and Putnam are really strong options in this range. For just how well they do in these weaker type field events on easier tracks. And the betting markets are moving their directions as well. So I think they're the two guys I would be on. Taylor Moore would be the guy I would completely X out. I just haven't been playing him. Don't like the way his game's trending as well. Missed the cut the last time he's played this event too. So I would probably be off of Taylor Moore would be the guy I would kind of X out at the top of this 7K range. If I had to X out another guy, it might even be Kitayama. I know he's got some upside, but he's got some really, I think the downside almost outweighs more. There's a better chance of him not playing well versus him finishing, inside the top 10 or something, but definitely has the upside. That's about it. I mean, Keith Mitchell, I would probably be underweight on him at 7-8. I'd rather play Potgeier or Smalley or the two guys below him. They're Hubbard and Putnam.
Hubbard, I mean, if Hubbard comes in 20%, you would still be over, you think, on that?
Yeah, I'll probably have around 25% of him or so, I think.
Bryce, anyone here that we're taking a strong stance with one way or the other, or are we going to kind of be on the field, kind of field again and hope we get the right combinations?
Potgieter, I think, is my highest leverage play according to Saber Sim. So assuming those ownerships are good, I talked him up, and I'm definitely going to be playing him here. Unders, who do I have as an under here? Don't really have a ton. Victor Perez and Taylor Moore, kind of as I iterated before, would be my highest negative leverage plays.
All right. I mean, let's dive down. Let's pick. Obviously, we won't go through every single golfer left, but let's at least get these 7K and above guys. Let's round it out there. Who do we like up from 7K up to that 7,500 range? And who are your favorite plays? There's a few guys here who are going to get some love, and then a bunch of low single digit plays. But I think we got a few guys who probably get into the double digits in this range. Who do you like here, Snyder? 7K up to 7,500.
It seems like Kevin Roy is kind of getting talked up around the industry a little bit. Comes off a couple top 20 finishes there. He's finished better. He's finished better in the last 4 events as well. The ball strike has been strong for him. The short game's kind of been hit or miss for him. I think he's definitely a good play in tournaments. A guy I'll have. Tristan Lawrence is a guy I'm pretty high on this week at 7,300. He's a soldier this week. He's put together a couple of strong performances of late. He was T4 overseas, where he kind of flipped the game a little bit, and then was T12 at the U.S. Open, and then he followed that up with a T8 last week. The off-the-tee game has been trending up for him, and the rest of the game has been really strong. So I think he's a really good play at 7,300. The guy that can go top 10 easily again in this field and setup again. I think this week. Cameron Champ, back-to-back top 20s for Champ. He's a former winner on tour. He's got the upside, has the flat stick working for him as well. I think he's got a lot of upside. Another soldier this week is Matt McCarty. I just love playing him in tournaments. You know, he's either going to be basically top 15 or he's going to miss the cut, which you love those outcomes in tournaments when you're playing them. So, and I think the game is actually trending upward for him. Aside from the U.S. Open, he's put together some good finishes together on easier tracks like this. So I like McCarty quite a bit this week. Hendrik Norlander is kind of a guy. The betting market moving his direction in the matchup market where he's matched up against Suber. It's been a 30-cent move his direction, which is kind of interesting. Not much you can see form from him or history-wise here, but something caught their eye there. I like playing Phillips. He's got good upside in these setups. He was T13 last week there for Chandler Phillips. Jackson Suber, I played him last week for a cheap punt. He finished T6. He was T18 in Canada as well. The market moved against him in that matchup against Norlander, but I think I'm going to still go with him. He gained over 10 strokes total last week. He's gained 3 strokes and 5 strokes approach in those last 2 finishes. So I like Suber quite a bit. And then some of these other guys you can just throw in there, like Sam Ryder doesn't have the best history or anything or best current form, but he's a guy that can get hot and he's birdie fast. Maybe throw him in like 5% into a large entry deal. Ricky Castillo has shown some upside. He was T5 at the Byron Nelson, so he can get hot at times. He's fine there. If you want to add him for like another like 5% or something, not too much for me at the bottom of this range. Like Bryce was kind of alluding to, though, I do want to end teams in this 7K range. I don't really see much in the 6Ks that I'm really confident or have much conviction on down there. So these 7K guys, we got to talk about Wiley's guy right here, Sammy Valimaki. He's shown the upside quite a few times this year. He's had some good finishes. He was T7 at Myrtle Beach. He was 4th at the Houston Open, 12th at the Texas Open there. He was 18th at the Heritage. And then last week he was T19, gained over 6 strokes putting. He's been the miss for him has been off the tee. He's lost off the tee in his last 5 graded rounds. But the putter was good last week. The approach game's hit or miss for him. Good around the green player. So I think Sammy Valimaki at 7,300 has really good upside for like large field tournaments and such as well.
Yeah, no, he's a guy who can putt, and he has decent accuracy off the tee. Not the longest hitter, but we talked about that. Not necessarily needing that at this course. I'll turn it over to you, Bryce. I mean, some of the guys here, Hodges. You got Roy. You've got the guy we're just talking about, Valimaki, McCarty. Some of these guys are getting some attention. Looks like we'll get some ownership on these guys, maybe a Cole and a Champ. You got Austin Eckroat down here as well, who I don't think you mentioned them, Schneider, but a guy with a name, but I don't know if necessarily the game right now or the markets are necessarily in his favor, but probably get some attention just because at that 7K price range, which is kind of the bottom of where I think most of the market's going to be, a name that at least some people know. So what do we like here, Bryce? 7K to 7,500.
I think there's a lot to like here. I think 7,300 to me is kind of like a breaking point. Like there's a ton of guys I like at the 7,300 range. Snyder highlighted a good amount of them here. Valimaki, Wiley absolutely loves this week. I think Tristan Lawrence is a good play. Tom Kim, Lee Hodges. I would feel much better with like those being like my anchor golfer as opposed to someone below 7K. I like Matt McCarty at 7-2. I think it's a very strong play. We mentioned Cameron Champ. I think Cole is all right. The one guy below 7K, I'm just going to dip down here real quick. Jackson Coiven, if that's how you say his name. Young, amateur, great guy to like play in the sixes. His odds are pretty much on par with like these sevens, so I'm kind of including him. And then I'm cutting it off hard at 7. Eckroat is the cheapest I'd go. Getting back into the higher 7K range here, I just really like that 7,300 range. I think it's kind of hard to get away from. And, if you're anchoring your team with one of those guys, it's going to be very strong overall. I think you really want to maximize your cuts made. Weird plays that people might not be on. Hisatune. I'm just kind of always on him for cheap. 7,400 doesn't break the bank here. Eric Cole, we had mentioned. I think Sam Ryder is a decent shout here. Jackson Suber and Austin Eckroat, we'd mentioned. And that's pretty much it for me. Once again, I'm not really eliminating a lot of these guys because I'm eliminating like the entire range below them. So, I don't want to like close myself off to too many golfers that could still do well here.
Snyder, Bryce just mentioned Jackson Coiven down sub 7K. Do you like him as well? It looks like this is the amateur. He's probably going to be the highest owned, maybe sub 7K guy. I'm guessing. Do you like him and anyone else sub 7K that's going to make your field?
Yeah, he was the guy I was going to look at. He's got the most upside, I think. The kid from Auburn, he was T48 at the API at the Farmers at Torrey Pines. He was T56, so he's played better at some of these tougher courses. Now he gets an easier landing spot here. I definitely think he's in play down there. Another guy you can look at, like Adam Svensson's got good course history here. 4 straight T35s are better at this event. The form is not good, though, right now. Another guy I was looking at was if you had to fit some more guys, like a Chad Ramey. He was T26 last week. He's shown the ability to pop at times in some of these kind of shittier events. Joseph Bramlett's got some upside if you want to go there. Quade Cummins was 4th at the Corn in his last Corn Ferry Tour start. And he had a couple of T35s at Myrtle Beach and the Charles Schwab. So I think you can go there if you want. Stephen Fisk was top 15 at the Myrtle Beach and T24 at that team event. Just some other names there. Adam Hadwin, if you want to go there. He played atrocious over the weekend last week. But you could go there. But, yeah, I'm just really not trying to jam too many of these guys in here. There was another guy down here. Where was he at? 6,300. Snedeker had a decent showing at the Memorial, but I don't think I'm going to go to him. But, yeah, I'm basically off of all these 6K guys. I'll add some Koivon and maybe a couple other guys. But generally, right there with Bryce, wanting to end my teams kind of at the low 7K range.
Let me ask you. I want to do a little something. I know you guys maybe don't do it on the PGA show on NASCAR on the weekends with Rubio and I. We always look for like a low owned, or at least what Saber's projecting to be low owned driver, and we'll do a golfer here. So we do 20% or under ownership because in NASCAR, of course, it's a lot more inflated with the ownership numbers. What if we look for someone, let's say, kind of 7% or less on Saber that you guys would take? Each one of you guys pick one guy on Saber that they're projecting 7% or less as your favorite, someone who's going to find their way into the nuts lineup. I know we didn't prepare, so it may take you guys a moment to figure out which one of those guys are for you. But if one of you guys has a name, go ahead, shoot it out.
Jackson Koiven, but I don't know if he actually ends up that low, and Nico Echeverria.
I think he will. I think he will end up that low.
Yeah. Well, that's good because he's what, 100 to 1. He's like the one playable guy under 6K.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just sorting here by leverage on Saber and seeing pretty much the high leverage guys under 7 here. Those are the two that really stand out to me.
Snyder, what do you think? You have anyone off the top of your head?
According
I love the low ownership guys.
Saber and a couple other of those spots, I'm seeing Pot Guy are at like 5 to 6%. I think I'll have like at least 15% of him, if not more. So that'd be. Bryce kind of alluded to him earlier, but if his ownership is around 5 to 7%, I think that's pretty strong to get there. And then just looking at probably like Matt McCarty, I think he's going to come in probably around 5 to 7% too, and I'll have at least 2x of him as well.
Yeah, I think these are always the key guys because we could kind of the entire industry will get on board these guys who are going to be 20+%, 15+%, and the trick to this is always finding that low owned guy. So hopefully one of those will pop for us. Give us what do we like? Give me your number one overall play. Who's your highest owned golfer this week? We'll go back to Bryce. Who do you have as your highest owned guy?
Thor Johnson is my highest owned. If you include leverage in there, it's Potgater. So those are kind of the two of the main keys for me here this week. So
with where Saber has the projected ownership, you're further over on the amateur.
I mean, Thor Jorgensen, I have in 40 teams. Potgater, I have in 39.
Oh, I'm sorry, you said Potgater. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
So it's very close, but Thor Jorgensen is definitely going to come in higher than Potgater.
Yeah, for sure. But you think you'll be further over the market on Potgater?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Snyder, what do you got?
The two guys I'll probably have the most of is probably going to be Thor, and then I'm going to probably be above the field on Kevin Yu as well. I think Kevin Yu will probably be like 10 to 13%, and he's another guy I want to get at least like 20% of, I think.
What do we got bets wise? Do you guys who do we like here? Do you have win bets that you particularly like for this week? I'll give a couple. I mean, I mentioned I had Thor. I do have David Thompson at 3,300 plus 3,300. I had a Smalley bet of plus 4,500 over at DraftKings. Bridgman is another one that I bet. I took a few of these guys with some long odds. I like Valimaki. Got him at plus 10K on FanDuel earlier. Lee Hodges at plus 6,600. There's a lot of guys. This is more golfers. I usually take maybe 4 or 5 golfers in the win, but I think, as we kind of alluded to this week, it's pretty wide open, and I think we could get more than likely. I mean, it's almost impossible not to get a really good price here for the winner. So it'll be a nice payday if we could pick a winner out. So, sorry, who do you have as far as betting markets go?
Yeah, I was going to look at the winner without market again. I used that last week. There's a spot here. You can get Thor Bjornsson at 25 to 1, winner without Griffin, Day, Kim, and JT Poston. So you're basically giving up 3 points, and you're dodging. I think the biggest threat to him would be like Griffin, I think. So I think that's worth the 3 points given up there. So I like that. And then like a longer shot that I like down the board a little bit would be I'm going to roll with Jacob Bridgman at 60 to 1, him or Putnam at 71. I think they got some upside. And then McCarty's right there at 70 to 1 as well on DraftKings. They're the partner for us, dkng.co/RPS.
Do we have any pick 6 plays for DK this week?
Do you want to do a pick 6 real quick?
Yeah, we can do one.
All right. Let's pull it up here. All right, PGA Tour. Here we go. Sorry, looking at the board here. We all like Thor. Let's go under 32.5 on him. And I will also go. who do we not like? I feel we never choose we never choose enough like worses here.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to go worse than 39.5 on Ricky.
I like that.
John, you have any pick six plays here? Or you want us to kind of?
Yeah, you guys go. I'll throw you two. I'm going to look at it now because I'm going to catch up with some of the guys I like here.
I'm going to go.
Hold on a second. Bryce, who did you take so I don't
I took Ricky worse than 39.5.
Okay.
And I took Thorpe Bjornsson better than 32.5.
Okay.
I'm going to go Chris Kirk more than 36.5 holes times 0.7. And
like that. Little make the cut bet.
I'm going to go Kevin Yu better than 34.5 spots.
Okay. All right. Let's go. Let's see. I don't see. I was going to go with some Valimaki. I don't see him on here though. On the board.
Yeah, I don't think we have Valimaki on pick six here.
No. All right. Let's get one of the guys here I like. Let's go with. Man, they don't have my really low guys that I like here. So did I have Smalley on here? I do like Smalley. Oh, they don't have him either.
I think they have Smalley to make the cut.
Smalley to make the cut. Holes complete. Oh, there he is. 36.5. All right, let's go with the over on that. Let's go Smalley over the 36.5 holes completed. And let's go with I'll go holes completed also with Bezenhout. 36.5 over.
I like it.
All right, there we go. Couple make the cut, couple better, and we got one worse in there for you. What's that going to pay here? It'll still pay decent, even with some make the cut bets. As we've talked about on the show, I kind of like to make the cuts here. Like you're getting better value on the 0.7 than you are in like the betting market on a lot of these guys to make the cut.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So yeah, I would research it a little bit harder than the 5 seconds I just put into it now. But yeah, you could definitely find some advantages there compared to the betting markets for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, I think that's about it. I think we kind of went through it. It's going to be an interesting one for sure. I think we're going to have multiple golfers in the nuts that are going to be around that 5% range this week, because I think it's going to be pretty well spread out. So probably an advantage to you 150 max players who are going to kind of spread it out a little bit. We shall see. I don't think it's going to be chalky at all, but I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm sure JBC will be back next week. Of course, head over to Run Pure Sports, and we got a lot of good stuff going on. I know this is the July starts to slow down, but it gets quick in a hurry here. August is coming up. We're going to have NFL soon. And of course, MLB is going strong for us. I don't know how we're doing tonight, but we'll check that out once we get off the show. So for Snyder, for Schlong, I am Statsational. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next week.